Okay, so I'm going to start with the first question, which is all to pay structures. So in your career, one of the main things that people want is to get paid. It makes perfect sense. And then again, when you kind of go through your career, some careers have, especially in bigger organizations, have formal pay hierarchies. So they have grades, so that you might join at the bottom. So when I used to work for local government, which is part of the public sector in the UK, they had very distinct bands and grades that you join here, and then if you stay for 2 years, you bump up to there, and it works all the way through. It's very transparent, and almost you know where you stand. With smaller organizations, and especially a lot of independents, it is often different because what you essentially have is that you probably don't have a pay structure, but also there's a lot of volatility in terms of how a business is performing, in terms of what can the entrepreneur actually pay you, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to cover, I'm going to grab the red pen and the black pen, is hopefully try and draw out why it's important for a business to structure their pay structures and reward structures in the right way. But then also, sorry, someone's cutting the grass outside. I never have any luck with these things, but anyway, I do my best. And it's why it's important to structure things a certain way. But then likewise, the more you understand about how and why things work, the better your negotiation angle is to actually get the pay rise. So I'm going to draw it out. So that's revenue, or just basically money, and that's just time. So if you're a business owner, your job is to sell stuff, and you might aim for a revenue of £1 million, which is there. But in order to achieve the £1 million, and actually I'm going to make this easy on myself, I'm going to do a service-based business. So actually it's about people and time, not commodities. But anyway, you have a certain revenue figure that you hit as a business. Underneath that, you have overheads. As a business, what you always have to worry about is making sure that you don't, over time, let your overheads creep up to a point where, for one, you make less profit. That's not good. But actually, you never know what's going to happen next. So a prime example is overheads over time. People ask for pay rises. It can do that. The issue you then have is that the delta between those two is low. And actually what you've then got as a business is that business owners run businesses to make money. They make profit. That's the whole point. But they also have to worry about risk. If people ask for pay rises and it goes unchecked, what essentially happens is if revenue isn't changing, you're just squeezing the top. But this causes some major headaches. For one, you're going to make less money as a business, which is really important. But the other thing which people often have to consider as well, unless you can also get the revenue to also go up. So the idea would be, if you say, look, I hope I'm really valued by the organization. I've got this great idea to help boost the business, bring in new sales. Can we have a chat and can I launch this in a new initiative? What you're then looking to do is say to the business owner, look, I want to launch this new thing and I think it's going to help the business. And then what you should then do is when you're looking at your pay structures, for one, for the business point of view, and I'm not risk averse, but I'm quite realistic. The one thing that is always at the back of my mind with all the businesses that I'm involved with is that if you give fixed salary increases to pay rises, I've been in a lot of industries, construction, oil and gas, renewables, etc., where basically it can drop off a cliff. And the worry is, if you have a bad month, if you ever get to that point where your revenue drops off and your overheads are higher than the money that's coming in, you're going to go bust. If you go bust, everyone loses their jobs, the company goes under, your suppliers go under, and actually everything that you've arguably worked for 10 years, 20 years is gone. So simply asking for a pay rise isn't great without looking to see about how can you add more value to the business and actually demonstrating that as well. And actually I've been doing a negotiating course with the FBI. I've been doing my homework on this. And again, they have lots of different techniques that they use when they work with people. But you really want to make sure that you are seen as wanting to help the business, add more value, etc., and then get rewarded accordingly. And the one thing that I'm always conscious of is that for me, you never know if a business is going to go up or down, because a lot of people, they might have good months, they have bad months, and you never actually know where it's going to go. I'm also very hot, and actually I like to reward people, especially if they do have good performance, because, you know, I've been there, that kind of thing. And again, the worry is, if you look solely at salary, the issue is, and I call it the axe above your head, if that axe keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you don't know what's going to happen to revenue, at some point it's just more likely to kill you. So for me, one of the things when you're looking at pay structures is actually to look at non-guaranteed, almost bonus structures. So where if you get a base salary, and if the company does well, or if you hit your sales targets, or whichever kind of structure you come up with, you might get your base salary, but then actually you get a bonus of a percentage of the benefit of how the company fits. And what you've then done is set up these structures to help reward employees accordingly, to do with, you know, the hard work they're putting in, that kind of thing. You're actually giving them the chance to pay them the same amount, if not more, to with a bonus scheme. But actually, from a company point of view, you haven't increased your risk, and you haven't increased what I call the axe above your head through increasing fixed overhead for no other benefit. Does that make sense? So therefore, when you go into your next pay negotiation, always be looking for and ask the question, and we cover it in the course, how can I add more value? What can I do to help the business achieve its goals, etc. And then what you're saying to the entrepreneur or the business owner is, look, I want to help, I want to do more. Let me demonstrate what I can do. Let me bring in the value. And then you would ask for a bonus based on what you've brought in, if that makes sense. Thank you, Simon. I'm just looking since I know downtown Dubai. I'm a big fan. I've worked in Sharjah, I've worked in Abu Dhabi. So cool. I'm delighted to have you here. And Simon, again, thank you for the input. So again, on pay structures, it's the conscious awareness that you don't want to increase your fixed overhead unless you have to. But actually, again, if you're in a position where you're looking for a pay rise, always look at what's the value you can bring and demonstrate it, so there's a win-win there. Cool. Well, I'm going to move on from that one, but hopefully that was quite useful.